What would you do if you woke up tomorrow to discover all of your cash, your savings, your assets were all worth next to nothing? While I wish I could say that this will never happen to you, millions of people have found themselves in this exact situation as the result of a currency reset. And while most have been devastated, left with next to nothing, there are a select few who have had the foresight to protect themselves and set themselves up for success before it was too late. By understanding how currency resets work and how different assets are impacted by them, I'll explain today how you can position yourself to maintain and grow true wealth even through the most frightening of times. To put it simply, a currency reset occurs when a country revalues or devalues its currency to address some kind of economic imbalance. This is usually triggered by hyperinflation or an excessive amount of national debt. During a reset, the government might introduce a new currency or revalue the current one in an attempt to stabilize the economy. But what ultimately happens is financial chaos, ruining people's finances by destroying their savings and investments. And before you brush this off saying, well, that would never happen in the United States and this sounds like something of the past, I can assure you that currency resets are happening all over the world, some even right now, like in Iran, and most recently in Venezuela and Zimbabwe. And here at home, the United States is already exhibiting many of the key indicators that lead to a currency reset, such as record high national debt, persistent inflation, massive monetary shifts, political instability, and trade deficits. And as if those concerns weren't enough, there's technological changes on the horizon that could completely reshape the traditional monetary system, aka the value of your dollar here in the United States, such as central bank digital currencies, or CBDCs. This, of course, being a programmable digital currency that threatens not only your privacy and your freedoms, but also could be issued to replace the dollar, meaning that the government could value it at whatever amount they see fit, leaving you with no choice and no financial security. But to better understand what a currency reset looks like, let's take Argentina, a country who has suffered from multiple currency resets thanks to chronic inflation as an example. In 1985, in an attempt to stabilize the economy, the government replaced its current fiat currency, the peso, with a new fiat currency, the austral, at a rate of 1 to 1,000. Overnight, people woke up to discover that everything they had was basically gone. Anything, all of their assets that were in this fiat currency was revalued, and there was nothing that they could do to stop it. And as if things couldn't get any worse for the people of Argentina, this only temporarily stabilized the economy, which means that 5 years later, their fiat currency, the austral, was replaced with a new fiat currency, the new peso. And this was done at a rate of 1 to 10,000. And once again, the people were left with no vote, no voice, no choice. There was nothing they could do but accept the change. Imagine if that happened to you. If all of your dollar-denominated assets lost their value like that. And if right now you're picturing just your savings and your checking account, well, think again. What is critical to understand in this scenario is that any asset that is dollar denominated would lose 99.9% of its value. We're talking your 401ks, your money market accounts, your annuities. All of these assets lose their value. I'll tell you the truth. The government only wants you to use dollar denominated assets because it means they have more power and control. Wall Street elites want to create these new tools so that they can continue to make money off of you. But when you sit back and you think about it, and you really ask yourself, are my assets diversified? Can you answer truthfully yes? Or, now that you're thinking about it, is the majority of your assets, is the value tied up and based on the value of the US dollar. The same US dollar, the same fiat currency that can be revalued and devalued at a moment's notice. Because if the answer is yes, that everything's based on the US dollar, well, how protected are you really? That's the dirty little secret that they don't want you to know. That all of your diversified assets, they're dollar denominated. And at the end of the day, if something happens to the dollar, well, guess what? Something's happening to all of your assets. You know, there was a time when the dollar was backed by physical, tangible gold. A paper dollar essentially just acted like an IOU. The bearer of the dollar could go and convert it for gold. The paper dollar was a receipt, an IOU, and gold was the true money. But what happened when that link was severed? When convertibility ended, what happened? Well, at that point, the dollar became nothing more than just a currency, a fiat currency whose value was derived from faith and credit in the US government, and gold continued to be real money. See, the problem is that most people today don't understand the difference between money and currency. And it's no surprise why. They're used interchangeably all the time, and I'm sure that the government would love to have us continue to forget the fact that they are actually not the same thing. But see, the difference here is that currency is a medium of account, a unit of exchange. It's portable, divisible, durable, and fungible, which means interchangeable. But money, on the other hand, is all of those things plus one more really important one, which is a store of value. Fiat currencies always lose value over time. Right now, the fiat currency in your wallet, the US dollar, like I said, is based on faith and credit of the US government. Well, let me ask you a question. How much faith do you have in the United States government? How do you feel about the US government's credit right now? I'm guessing I know the answer, but do you think that the government is above lopping off our zeros? That you could have $100,000 in your bank account, and tomorrow you wake up and they say, surprise, we're launching a CBDC, and because of that, your $100,000 is now 100 because we're doing a 1 to 1,000 ratio on US dollars to the new CBDC dollar. Go have fun with your $100. Oh well, sorry, our bad. And again, in that scenario, in any of these scenarios, we are not just talking about your savings account. We are talking about all of your assets that derive their value from the US dollar. They are all at risk. So when I talk about diversification, I mean true diversification. Outside of the US dollar, outside of a fiat currency, something that is a safe haven asset, that is not susceptible to inflation or to government decision and policy making, something that has withstood the test of time, that is a true store of value, true money, physical, tangible gold and silver. And we can learn from what we've seen from other currency resets. When fiat currency value is plummeting or being revalued down to its true value, which is ultimately what? Nothing, it's zero. Gold is doing this because gold has real value. And the people who hold gold through the reset and come out on the other side are the people who come out on the other side with true wealth and true power. Because imagine you come out the other side, everyone else who only had fiat currency is struggling. Not that I wish that, of course, but the reality of the situation being that, and you have real gold, real silver. You have positioned yourself for opportunity. You are in a position of power where you can now acquire more assets for less, create income generating assets, and set yourself up for the future. I mean, that's the position I want to be in, and I'm guessing that's the position you want to be in too. When I think about it, it all really boils down to this one question. Do you believe that the US dollar is going to retain its value? The same US dollar that's lost 96% of its value since the Federal Reserve was created in 1913. If the answer is no, then you've got to ask yourself, okay, well, am I protected? Or am I sitting here in a position where the majority of my assets are reliant on a fiat currency that I know is going to decline in value? And then if you take it a step further and you think it might not only slowly decline in value, but we might be facing a currency reset, whether it's in a week, a month, a year, 2 years, I don't know. I don't have the answer. I wish I did. But if you think that there's a chance that that's going to happen, that's when you then need to ask yourself, what can I do now so that I am protected and that I am setting myself up for the future? If this is something that's opened your eyes, or if this is something that you've been thinking about for a while and you are ready to take that next step, go ahead and click on the Calendly link below and set up a time to talk to one of our expert analysts. They will work with you to understand what your questions are, your concerns, and most importantly, your goals and how you can achieve them. And as always, if you have any other questions or comments, please leave them below. I love to hear from you. And if you haven't already, like and subscribe, as it really helps us get the word out. As always, I'm Taylor Kenney with ITM Trading, your trusted source for all things gold, silver, and lifelong wealth protection. Until next time.